Okay, hello, Steezy. Welcome to
Hello.
the Unemployed Millennial podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Okay, so I told you that I was going to do a deep dive into your channel, and I watched 2 videos, and I feel like that was good. That was a good deep dive.
Yeah, I used to do a podcast, and I would do that every time I had a guest.
Yeah, what
I'll
was your
like
process?
try to watch every single video, but then I'll just like watch one or none. So yeah, I definitely feel that.
I don't know. I think it's interesting because I feel like as a creator, it's kind of better to sometimes just like not watch people's content.
Yeah, no, yeah, I was also like, I don't know. I like when it's like you don't know anything about the person or little to no information, and you just kind of ask questions.
Yeah.
I don't know. So like it's like a lot more authentic that way.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, so I met Steezy at Creator Camp, but you were friends with the similar circle.
Yeah, Elliot, Anthony,
Yeah.
kinda a little bit.
Yeah. And then I feel like this last week, a lot of Creator Camp kids were in New York. You're in New York. You
Mhm.
temporarily moved out of LA for now.
Yeah. And then Chris, that story. Like I just randomly ran into them on the street.
Well, yeah, tell that story. That's actually insane.
Yeah, I was just watching a movie by myself. I was in Fide, and I was watching Everything Everywhere.
Which I also just watched before I came to New York by myself
Oh,
on
really?
Tuesday. Yeah, the Tuesday before I
You saw
came.
it for the first time.
The second time.
Okay, I was watching it for the 4th time, I think.
Okay.
It's a great movie. And then after the movie, I was just walking around Fide. I just went to the river, looked at the water for a little bit. Just the most random day. And then I just start walking in Fide again. And then to my left, I hear, "Hello, New York." And I look, and then I see Chris and James. And they're coming out of the subway. And I go out and say what's up to them. And they said that they just came from the airport. And that was them coming out of the subway from the airport. And yeah, and then I don't know. And then
That's okay. This is going to be one of our topics that I'm going to make you talk about. And I'm not going to make you talk about anything, but I think it'll be really interesting. Synchronicity. Because, okay, so we basically spent, the last week, Creator Camp kids were here. That was like the first day they were there.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to come hang out, but I was in the depths of my spiral. Like, that was my very bottom. So I was just real in a mood, or I don't know. It was just like a weird period for me. So
Wait, for context, what was the spiral?
Did I tell you about the spiral?
No, yeah, you told me, but I'm saying like the audience.
I don't know. I like sometimes just I feel like it happens. I've been thinking about it more and more because this is going to be my next video. But I feel like it's like a karmic loop or just like a spiral. And then we saw a physical manifestation of the vortex. But I feel this happens like kind of every time I come to New York, where for January, I was doing like sober January. I got to New York. It was really cold. It was like colder in New York than it was in Anchorage. So I was like inside in a new environment. I was on my period. There was a full moon. All probably unrelated. But I don't know. Like I just got in like a spiral and like I just couldn't like then I started like eating a bunch. Like I ate all my freaking snacks. Like and then I just felt like unwell. And I like Chris was like super excited. He was like, "Hey Maria, I just got to New York. Like we just ran into Steezy. Like so crazy." Because me and Chris experienced like a lot of synchronicity together.
Uh-huh.
And then I found out like my friend died like from childhood, and that was like kind of the cherry on top. It was just like the vortex that I was in just kept like sucking in. Like everything just kept getting like it just seemed like worse and worse. But it's weird because I was putting myself in that position. Like I'm sure if I had just come out and like hung out with you guys, I probably would have even felt better then. But I was just like real, like after I like heard that my friend like passed away, I like just started crying, and I was just like literally sitting on my couch like by myself, like in my mood. When you guys were like probably like having a really good time, I heard you guys like went on the hot tub. I was like, what? There was a hot tub?
Well, it was like a pool, but the pool's heated, and the whole pool's basically a jacuzzi.
Yeah, so that's what I missed out on.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes like things just like turn like that.
Yeah. It's weird because it happens kind of like every time I get to New York, but I think it's like a self-sabotage type thing where that's kind of why I'm fascinated by it, where I'm just like, I think like even when I was hanging out with you guys like all the next week, I was just in a completely different mood and like a completely different energy. And then it was also weird like seeing like just like all the synchronicity, like literally seeing like the black vortex, like you talking about Sleep No More, and then like everyone, like one of our friends who is also just, it's kind of weird that he's here, that me and Chris met at like Summit, like him being here and like inviting me to Sleep No More.
Yeah, everything you just said right there, the audience has no idea, but basically like just so many coincidences that has happened like in this past week or past 2 weeks, like I don't know, just
and shared coincidences.
Like it's freaky but also magical. I've heard that it's bad luck, but I've also heard that it's like good luck.
Wait, why? Yeah, you mentioned that it was bad luck. Why is it bad luck?
The only reason I say it's bad luck is I guess just from a movie called Us by Jordan Peele. Like that movie focuses on like if there's a bunch of coincidences that happen around you, that means something really bad's about to happen. Like something horrific, something terrifying. And the movie kind of shows like things lining up in the same color, or even like a kid throws a frisbee on the beach and it lands on a mat that has circles as a design, and the frisbee lands right in the circle. Just things like that. I don't know. But
okay, as a reframe, because I think, okay, so Chris had me read the book The Alchemist. Because you've read it?
Yeah, I've read the one with pictures.
Okay.
Yeah, really good book. Really good comic, I guess, is the one I read.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that it was a comic.
Yeah, that was back when I was really bad at reading.
I thought that book was interesting. Okay, so The Artist's Way, which I actually think that you would love, maybe.
Is that the Rick Rubin?
That's the one right under Rick Rubin's book. But actually, Rick Rubin said that he kind of modeled his book off of the way that The Artist's Way is written, where it's like a very timeless book. It's basically like, it's based off of the 10 steps. Is it the 10 steps or the 12 steps? I always get it wrong. The 10 step program, like Alcoholics Anonymous.
I don't know what that is.
It's creative recovery. And she talks about synchronicity. And then even like Brian, like we were like, I taught him the word, and then did you know the phrase?
I don't know that. I didn't know that word, okay. But I could imagine what it meant.
Okay.
Synchronicity, being synced, coincidence. You know,
So in the book The Alchemist, I feel like there are like good omens like guiding him on his path, like to his personal mission. But I think there are also like bad omens too. So that's kind of how I see it. Like I'm like, okay, I think the good omens are the things that you should follow, and then the bad omens like
I don't remember too much of the book, but it also kind of like touched on the law of attraction, right? Do you know the law of attraction?
I mean,
kind of like like law of attraction is basically like whatever you think about will eventually come into fruition in your reality if you think about it enough. Like you reap what you sow. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Basically like if you write down your goals and you say them to yourself every morning, like you'll eventually start to subconsciously open your mind to that. But
do you believe in that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. 100%.
That's kind of how I felt in my vortex. Like I was just attracting negativity, and it's like not like I manifested like my friend dying, but I was just like, of course this would happen too, because it just felt like such a negative space and energy that I was in.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of power in how we think and how our mindset is. Sure. And Chris said it in an interesting way, but he said like there's something that's faster than light, and I'm gonna fuck up the whole
I think I know what you're talking about.
Science verbal stuff, but
I'll help you if I'll think about it too.
If you mess with an atom and another atom that's like connected to it, that's like light years away, it'll also move, kind of like a voodoo doll. Yeah. But
this is this won the Nobel Physics Prize. Can you describe it more? Well, I wrote it down at one point, so I can tell you what it's called. I
don't know. That's the furthest I can explain it.
Quantum entanglement.
Yes, I think that's what Chris said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, so can you re-explain? I wasn't listening.
Like basically, let's say you're in a different country and then you feel homesick and you're thinking about your family, and then coincidentally your family calls you. That I don't think is a coincidence. I think because we're all on a wavelength, a frequency that we can't see. So like if you're thinking about somebody, they're probably thinking about you too. Or even if I don't really know. It's so hard to explain it.
I mean, I completely agree, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know, like, is this a spirituality thing? Like, are you spiritual?
I think it's more science.
You think it's science?
Yeah, I am a little spiritual, but I think there is like a math to it.
Yeah.
But of course we can't see it. We can only feel it.
So when you say we're all on the same, like, or on a frequency, when was the first time that you believed that?
I watched a video when I was in high school, and I really wanted to be a YouTuber. It's the only thing I wanted to do. And I was very lost at this point. I didn't know how I didn't think it was possible. But even that thought alone of me thinking it's not possible is already crutching me from even starting.
Yeah.
So I saw this video about reaping and sowing, about law of attraction, and it completely convinced me, like, oh, this is so simple. It makes sense. So from that point, I started, applying those rules to my life and like writing down my goals. I started photoshopping my channel. I had like 1,000 subscribers at the time. I'll Photoshop it to 500,000.
Wow.
And I'll just like tell myself who I'm going to be, what I'm going to own, like where I'm going to live every day in the morning. And from my list, I didn't keep my list, but I accomplished everything on that list except for one thing. And that's, I haven't bought my mom a house.
Wow.
But basically, like, yeah, if you just tell yourself these things and you constantly think about what you want, it'll just like, you'll attract them into your life. And then when I started to really, really believe it is once I started to hang out with successful people outside of my high school or my family, like going to LA and like hanging out with like people who made a lot of money, they'll all bring up the law of attraction. So
That's
I'm like, why does every successful person follow this rule? Like, it must work.
Have you talked about this before? The law of attraction?
I've talked about it once, I think, in a Sneako video, actually.
Because both of my old roommates who are boys have the same exact like story where they're like, oh, the law of attraction. Like, I watched this one video, and then they would also make vision boards.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, I've seen them do this.
Uh-huh.
So that's really interesting.
Do you have YouTube on there?
Yeah.
Can I look up a video real quick?
Yes, you can.
I just want you to look at a comment that's on it.
Okay. When you started YouTube in 2018? Or that's when you...
I started in... Well, really, I mean... I started in like 2008. But those were like...
Dang.
Different channels.
That's before me. Oh, yeah. Well, I think I had different channels too. But that's crazy. How old were you then?
I
like
was... 8? Yeah, I was 8. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's cool because my year syncs up with the...
That's really
my
nice.
age syncs up with the year.
That's really nice. I'm really... Like, I just... Math... I mean, I don't want to say I'm like a bad at math, but I recently had the realization that I could just add 4 to my year, but you just like sync up with the actual year.
No, I met somebody who was born on January 1st, 2000.
Wait, what's your birthday?
April 9th.
Okay, yeah, mine's January 5th, but it's 1996. Wow. So I just have to usually plus 4.
But yeah, I've always like thought, is there somebody who was born on January 1st,
nice.
2000? And yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
So this is the video I saw when I was in high school and I was like depressed and lost. And then go to the comment section and look at the pinned comment.
Whoa. Oh. I was like, hey, that's you. Okay. Yeah. So the video is called Learn This and You'll Never Be the Same. Parenthesis, use this. By You Are Creators.
Yeah.
And then the pinned comment is by a guy named Steezy Kane. I saw this video about a year ago today, and it truly changed my life. I now live by the law of attraction. I started a YouTube channel, and now I have about 1.8K subs. Wow, so this is 4 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm commenting this so I can come back to it in 2 years when I have 1 million subs to prove this works.
And look at the replies.
Damn.
So all the replies, like, basically, they all document.
Wow.
Like, how much I have. 600,000. Wow. 680,000. And then once I hit a million, I just came back to it.
Wait, and you did it in the same year because this was 4 years ago.
Oh
and
yeah.
then 4
So what
years
I
ago.
noticed is the law of attraction works faster than when you like initially kind of want it to, most of the time. But I really do think that this is like the key. Even Oprah Winfrey not Oprah Winfrey. One of her friends wrote a book about the law of attraction called The Secret.
I always hear about that book.
You hear about that book?
Yeah.
But yeah, The Secret is basically the law of attraction. But I really do think, and The Alchemist is about this too, but The Alchemist says it in like a story way.
Wow.
But yeah, I commented that when I had 1,800 subscribers.
Wow, that's so fascinating.
And really, if you think about it, like, it's so true in every aspect of life. Like, whatever mindset you have, that's going to become your outcome. Like, imagine two boxers go into a ring. One of them is like super confident, like, oh yeah, I'm going to beat this guy up. The other guy's like scared, telling his teammate like, oh dude, I don't know about this. Like, who do you think's going to win?
Yeah.
So I just think that's very true. Even with like very unfortunate, like traumatizing things, I think it is about mindset. It's the only thing that we can control is how we react to things. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we react. But I would definitely recommend like doing a deep dive on that stuff, because it turns people off because of how simple it is.
Yeah.
But it makes so much sense. To me, it's like, why wouldn't this work?
Yeah.
Another thing is like, do you notice like whenever you buy new shoes, or if you want a certain car, you start to see those things everywhere all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Like with green Jordans, for example, you buy them and then you start noticing, oh, everybody's wearing these, but they were there the whole time. It's just now your brain is focused on it. So basically, when you start wanting things and you start thinking about what you want in your life, you're just opening your mind to like start subconsciously looking for the opportunities.
That's kind of beautiful. That's how I feel like synchronicity is. It's kind of just like you're opening your mind to guide you towards like a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really interesting when people have like shared synchronicities, because then it's like you're experiencing that with another person, and then you could like look at each other and just be like, whoa, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Damn, yeah. The sharing part makes it trippy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of creator camp like community has like a lot of synchronicity for me, at least, which is just weird. Because I think at my stage in life, like I've operated very independently in the universe, like for the last like few years, or like I've found myself in positions where I just have to. So I experience like a lot of synchronicity by myself or like with individual people. But I feel like this community is like the first time where I'm just constantly like, whoa, that's kind of weird with another person.
Yeah. Especially on this trip. I think only on this trip and maybe creator camp. But what I kind of am learning from like all this synchronicity stuff is like, I don't know, the universe is kind of telling us like, yo, stick together.
Yeah.
That's what I'm at least getting from it.
That's my takeaway too. Okay, so the videos that I watched that you did were I think you probably, you're on a break, or you're shifting right now. You're transitioning your content.
Yeah. I'm pretty much done with YouTube.
Done with YouTube.
Yeah. I don't know how's the best way to explain this, but the video that I just uploaded, it's like my last one, at least my last big video. I'll probably upload vlogs here and there to update my audience and stuff, but really I want to transition into like kind of producing for networks and having shows like on HBO Max or Hulu, or focusing on short films. But yeah, like with YouTube and social media, I'm pretty much done. Like I just got tired of the whole, it's just a rat race.
Yeah,
because you upload, like YouTube favors people who have good consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So you upload a video and then it's just like on to the next one, and you got to do that every week in order to, stay relevant. So I would rather work, like putting out one movie a year, or kind of like how artists put out one album a year or every 2 years. I'd rather work like that. But yeah, with social media, and especially like the whole shorts era that's going on right now, like I just feel like it's just shit posting, like,
yeah,
you know, all the time. But
okay, so it's interesting because I watched this video explaining, and also just you as a person from the time that I met you. You have this like very calm, like very intelligent, like you don't talk that much, but when you do, it's always like super interesting and like somewhat insightful. Just like you could tell, like your phone screen. What is your phone screen other than the poker one?
oh, right now it's just the weather, but
Okay.
let me go back to it. I got like this philosophy, the thinker.
That's how I feel. I feel like that's very representative of who you are. And I'm not saying that I watched your video like jumping off I watched your video where you jump off asking for her number in Santa Monica. And I was like fascinated because it's not in like a bad way, but it's just like a completely different person than the current person that like I perceive you as. How was that transition? Or like walk me through that.
Oh man. Yeah, like that video of me. So basically, just so I can give some context to the audience, like in 2018, the video that really blew me up on YouTube was when I jumped off a pier for a girl's number. And yeah, during that time, I was like a whole different person. I sounded different. I looked different. My whole energy was so high and I was so outgoing. But I think at that time I was just so desperate to be successful. And I was coming straight out of high school. And I wanted to follow this whole like Danny Duncan format of like wearing a lav on my chest, going out and pranking people, and just being a hooligan, just messing with people basically. And I kept that persona for like 2-3 years, all the way up until 2021, I would say. But then I just started to realize that that's not me. And I just started to really like focus on what I really want. And it's crazy how blinding it could be, because like even just a year ago or a year and a half ago, I was like so blind to what I wanted. I really thought I had to be a prankster, and like I had to sell merch, and I had to just be like this, I don't know how to call it, just this Danny Duncan or Tyler the Creator type of guy, just this goofball, but I'm so glad that I realized like that's not me.
Did it feel inauthentic to you at the time?
No. And that's what's crazy. Like, that's why I say how it's scary how blinding it is. Because that just makes me think of like how many people are out there that's doing something that they don't even realize that that's not them.
Wow. So where was the shift? Like, how did you realize like what you actually wanted to do? Like, was it
okay? So when I was inspired by Danny, there was like I would say I can confidently say there was not really anybody else inspired by him. At least like making videos successfully on YouTube.
In what year?
2018. So then I started to make videos like him, and then a lot of people started to make videos like him, mostly my friend group. And then around 2020, so many people started to pop up, and then that's where the format got its name, the Mic'd Up Cult. And once I saw people like popping up every month with like 1 million subscribers, doing the same type of pranks, selling the same merch, I just started to ask myself like, whoa, what am I doing? Who are these people? And why are they all doing the same thing as me?
So basically you had like a mirror like held up to you.
Yeah. And literally like, it's weird how similar everybody is. They all make the same jokes. They all have the same merch. They all have merch about either something with like a sexual joke or merch about being sober. Like you can look at all of them, like even me, I was selling merch that said "Small Dick, Big Dreams," and that's like Danny Duncan's format, where he has shirts that say "Virginity Rocks," and then Gideon has "Homosexual." Balin Levine has "Mature People Are Weenies," or even like for October he had "Cocktober." It's just juvenile humor that like teen boys like.
This is so fascinating.
But every single person has the same merch. It's just a little different, but really they're all the same. Yeah.
So was it like did you take up like meditation, or did you take up journaling? Like, or was it truly just seeing other people do the exact same thing as you that you were like, what are we all doing here?
Yeah, just seeing everybody do the same thing. And I just didn't feel unique anymore. I didn't feel, and I'm glad because, I think subconsciously I knew I was copying Danny, but I was like trying to ignore that part about myself. But yeah, everybody coming out, everybody making the same videos really showed me like, I don't know.
So like the mic'd up cult, it's like going out in public and interacting in the public, but being like menaces.
Yeah. So Danny Duncan again created the format, and so I don't know if you remember 2014-ish where all the pranks started to trend on YouTube.
Yeah.
The social experiments where people would go on college campuses and, they'll either do like, what would you do if there was a homeless guy with a kid? Or then it started to get to like people messing with people in the hood, all of that stuff. And then Danny was doing that at first in 2015-ish, but he changed it by, okay, let me still wear this lav mic, but let me just vlog and let me just go about my day. And he created that format, and so many people resonated with it. So yeah, and then the mic'd up cult format is basically just a cameraman following you around through your day, and you messing with people, being a menace, and selling relatable merch, sexual merch. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole format. Yeah.
Okay. Did you have like a point of burnout, or?
A lot.
Yeah.
I think I'd burn out like once a month.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
I don't know. I think it's just, I think I burn out very easily. Before it was really hard to like deal with it, but now I think I embrace it, and I'll take a break, and I'll just try to do something fun and take my mind off work. But doing YouTube, it's really hard to take your mind off it.
Yeah.
Especially like when your YouTube channel has your name, and your views kind of subconsciously connect with how much people like you. So, this isn't like a traditional job where somebody working in finance or stocks, like if they see numbers go down, it has nothing to do with how much people like them. But in our world, when our numbers go down, it's like, oh, people aren't fucking with you anymore.
Yeah.
Because they don't like you.
Yeah.
So.
Or even if you have like an opinion that people don't like, it's like, that's your character. That's messed up now.
Yeah.
Like people don't like your character.
Yeah. Yeah. So numbers going down, I think makes me burn out. But also numbers going up also makes me burn out, because it's like, how long can I make this last? So it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I want to just get out of social media, because it's a lose-lose situation no matter like where your numbers go.
Okay, so because I always say that I think like YouTube as a platform, it doesn't allow for a well-rounded person because of the rat race, because of the algorithm, like feeding consistency. But it's interesting because it's like you clearly like do you love doing it outside of the platform?
I love filmmaking. I think I learned that I like to be behind the camera, and I like to write and direct. And I think that's another thing that I got tired of with social media is the narcissism. Because in order to do social media, be an influencer, whatever, creator, you have to be a little bit of a narcissist to do it.
Ooh, let's talk about this. This is really fascinating to me.
Yeah. Like having a cameraman follow you around when you're not even like really doing that much of exciting stuff. That started to eat at me. I'm like, I started to get imposter syndrome. Like, why am I important enough to have this guy follow me around all day? You know? Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I have like that a lot too, because I think that's super weird. Like just putting, even Chris was helping me film like a HelloFresh like ad yesterday, and he was like filming me, and I just felt kind of weird again. Like because my videos are just vlogs, so it's just me like with my camera, like very personal. But to have like someone be dedicated to filming you, that is like you just automatically assuming that you have like something interesting or like. So I've always felt like a little bit weird about that, and I come from like a very different YouTube background of like the YouTube girly like community where it's very like not mic'd up. But I think I liked that format when I was doing it at our house, because in some ways it could be more authentic. In some ways I think it can be inauthentic. But it's like if you're just capturing the moment in that way, then I think it's really cool. But I also think that the discussion on like YouTube and narcissism, like, can you be a YouTuber and not be a narcissist or like have a huge ego?
Yeah, it's I mean, you have to be, I think. And even if you're not a narcissist, you have to pull the little narcissism out of you in order to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to.
Yeah.
You have to, which isn't always, it's not always a bad thing. I mean, I think with any art form that involves your appearance, like a musician making music videos, or I don't know, maybe somebody who does, an actor or somebody who does theater, you know, mainly those art forms. Yeah, it's not a bad thing because a lot of them require that. You need to be obsessed with your own image a little bit. But some type of art forms that don't involve that are like painting or photography, or maybe a producer who doesn't really like to show their image. But yeah, again, it's not a bad thing. It's just when there's too much of it, I think that's when it can really eat at your soul.
Yeah. That's really interesting because like I feel like I've been doing YouTube for like 10 years and there's been some dissonance in my career, but I think a lot of it is even just me not wanting to be fully like seen, but I have encountered a lot of YouTubers who do just want to be seen. Like that's all they want. They want like fame and their face to be everywhere. So that's interesting that you say like there are some art forms that you can like, or maybe it's like an ego thing. Like maybe I do have like a big ego and am a narcissist and like whatever, but that's always been really hard for me. So I wonder if it's like truly just the platform, and it's like just the platform that I've chosen to be on is just not the platform for me, or if there is like a way that you can do it that lowers that.
Yeah, I think documentary filmmaking is a really great way of like, it's still like, it's narcissism still, but like humble narcissism.
I like that.
Yeah, to where you're focusing, like your Sneako video is a perfect example.
Yeah, I love
You're
those
focusing
videos too.
on an external topic, or I guess an external person.
Yeah.
And you're doing a study on him where you're still one of the main characters, but I think that type of filmmaking is a lot more authentic, and it still allows for you to satisfy the inner narcissism, which we all need to satisfy. But yeah, that type of filmmaking, I think, even with me, I'm leaning towards that a lot more. That's the type of content that I started making. That, yeah, like, again, it's documentary is how I would describe it.
That's interesting because I feel like the future of like journalism is going to be creators.
Yes.
Like individual creators where like you can, because for me, it's really important. I always try to create a realistic reality in my videos. Like I never try to fabricate, and it's just, maybe it's just not the content that I'm doing. Like I never try to fabricate a story just for the story, because I want to look back on my videos and be like, oh, this is exactly what happened. I never want to look back on my videos and forget like, oh, like be confused about the reality of what happened.
Yeah.
And so I have actually been leaning more towards and thinking about like the future content that I want to do. Like I've really been thinking a lot about that kind of format, like the Sneako video, where it's just me trying to explain exactly what's happening as I see it.
What do you mean by fabricating the story?
So I have this theory that there's 3 methods of content creation. It's a 3 C's. So capturing, which is like what we're doing right now. And I think the pro of that is it's the most authentic form. So like the viewer has the most authentic experience of like being in the room.
Capture as in like no editing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like a vlog is capturing. But I guess what you were maybe it'll confuse it a little bit if you're doing like the mic'd up thing because you're just capturing exactly what's happening. Okay, but I'll introduce the next one. So creating, it's like okay, so did you, when you asked the girl for her number, did you know that you're going to title it that title and ask a girl for her number?
So I flew to LA with the notion that I'm jumping off the pier, but I didn't know what reason for yet.
Okay.
It was either going to be a skit or some dumb prank, but I didn't figure out the reason why until I was on the pier. And then I was like, oh, this is the perfect reason.
That's fascinating.
So it is fake in a way to where it seems spontaneous on the spot, but I flew to LA with knowing I was going to jump off.
Okay, so that's a combination, I would say, of both capturing and creating. So because if you had this all planned out where you're like, I'm going to create a video where I ask a girl for her number, and then you made a skit about it, like I would say that's creating. Yeah. Or like my Sneako video is capturing. Like I captured all of what happened, and then I went back and like basically made a video of it. So there's nothing that I purposely had in mind to put in that video before I captured it all and then edited it.
Yeah.
I think creating is like maybe you have an outline of a video that you want to do, and then you kind of just like Elle Mills, like when we all watched at her post creator camp, I was like asking her about how she made her videos because we all watched it on the screen. And then she was like, I write out the entire video, then I fit in the pieces, and then I film the footage. So she has like all of her video already created. Yeah. And then she just needs to fill in the gaps, like put the pieces where they are. And then I think the last method is like curating. Well, first, the advantage of creating, I think it's most representative of your brain or like your creativity of what you want to show. So like whatever Elle had in her head, she was able to then show on the screen. Where it's like for my Sneako video, I had no idea how that was going to go. So I can't even create an idea of how it's going to go in my head. I just have to like be there, capture it, and then it'll come out as it is. And then curating, I think, did you hear Ryan talk about core on TikTok?
No.
Okay, I don't really quite understand what it is, but it's basically just
yeah, I did.
Yeah, so you're taking like a bunch of different media
it's like
pieces.
A collage.
Yeah, it's a
collage of things that already exist.
Yeah. So for me, my idea, like if I wanted to include this, like if I did an interning video on you and I like separately from this podcast, but I had interesting things from this podcast that I would want to include, then I could take this and like curate like a bunch of different pieces, or like, I could take some of your videos from your channel and then put it all in one piece. That's my theory.
So is curating like the first two, capturing and creating, kind of, but in the middle? Because I'm a little bit confused on the third C of curating. Is it like maybe making a documentary and then from what you captured, you're now deciding what to leave out and what to put in to kind of fictionalize it?
That's a good question. This is like just a theory in my head that I'm still working on. But I think a lot of it. I like it though. 3 C's. You like it? Yeah. Capture, create, curating.
But maybe a dumb question. What does curating mean? Like,
in my head, it means like putting things together.
Okay.
Like, and I think like a lot of content.
Instead of creating from your mind, you're creating from
already existing.
That you have already.
Yeah, or it could be like other people's art. Like, if I wanted
like sampling in a song.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that the benefit of curating is it's most representative of your taste. So it could be most representative of your taste. So like I guess like, I don't know of a good example of this. Curating.
Yeah, like what's a YouTube video example of curating?
I guess like one of the videos that I was going to watch, I watched a little bit of it, is your top videos. Like
Like
you have
best
a video.
of.
Yeah, best of.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's curating all the videos that you think that you've already done that are like, it's putting them kind of in a category.
Okay.
Like you're curating them all. I should learn the definition. Let me look up the definition. But there was a reason why I brought this up that I don't remember anymore because we went so deep in it. Curate. To take charge of a museum or organize an art exhibit, to curate a photography show. What are definitions these days?
That's kind of similar.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, just a collage.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely an interesting theory. I'm also trying to remember why we brought this up.
We were talking about journalism, documentaries,
different ways of maybe art forms that don't require narcissism.
Yes. Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, fabricating stuff, like faking content or staging content or manipulating content to make it more entertaining, that from my group of friends or like from where I come from, we've always like tried to go against that. At least from the extreme version, like how all these like fake pranksters like hired actors and convinced the audience that they were real people. Usually it came from the gold digger pranks. I don't know if you've seen those from way back in the day. They'll have a Lamborghini parked outside and then also like a beat up Toyota outside. And they'll be standing next to that. And when a girl walks by, they're like, ask them out on a date. The girl says no. And then they walk over to the Lamborghini, open it, and they're like, are you sure? And the girl will get in. But all of those are fake. Okay. They all hire actors, actresses. But that is like the extreme fabrication. And then there's the not so extreme where me in my video, I seemed like that whole jumping off the pier was spontaneous. But really, I flew there knowing that I was going to do that.
I still feel like that's very capturing, though. Cause
yeah.
You have a thesis, basically, but you're doing it all authentically. Mm-hmm. Okay, so So where are you at now? Like, you wanted to step away from that. Like, you're kind of a new person. Like, I was telling you I was watching those videos, and you're just like, I mean, I think everyone can cringe when they, like, look back on their videos, but you're just like, I cringe at the thought of people watching that.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Because I could see how blind I am in that video and how I don't know who I am, which is, again, normal. I'm 18 years old in that video.
Yeah.
And I'm just a fanboy of Danny Duncan. I am trying to be somebody else. I'm trying to copy this format. I'm going out in public, inconveniencing, causing a disturbance. And it's just dumb. I'm even putting myself in harm's way to make
did you know content. That you were going to be safe jumping off that pier?
I was just desperate. Again, I was desperate to be successful. And then I jumped off the pier again. Oh, another bridge. It wasn't a pier, a bridge in Austin. And I landed so bad on my back. I could have honestly got paralyzed.
Oh my gosh.
That is also, I forgot to bring that up. That's another turning point where I realized this stuff is so dumb. Like, I'm jumping off of bridges to get views, and these views, like, yeah, they make a little bit of money, but like, it's on to the next one next week. Like, it's not sustainable at all. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's a rat race. And a lot of people think that YouTube is passive income. It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
This is nor like, people who work day jobs get mad when people like us complain, but it's a treadmill. We have to it's like we're in water, and we have to constantly keep our heads above the water, breathing. Yeah.
And I don't know, at least for me, it's like, it takes a long time to get to that point where you're actually like making money, and then you have to keep it up. Yeah.
It's very easy when you're looking at it as a dream, and you're like, oh, if I just get up there, everything will be perfect. But you get up there, and ironically, things are worse a little bit because you have this fire under your ass, and you just have to constantly go. And especially if it's not your passion, then you're like, damn, I did all this for nothing. Yeah. Yeah. And when I first blew up on YouTube, I went from 20,000 subscribers to 500,000 in the month of September.
One month?
Yeah, in 2018. And it was just so much pressure. And it's like I got dropped onto a stage in front of 500,000 people, and they're all watching my next move. And then, so that was in 1 month. And then 3 months later, I hit 1 million subscribers.
Wow.
And then I wasn't making any money because, well, at first I was. It was like I went from not having a job, not making any income, to like just like money that like my mom hasn't even seen, but only for 3 months. And then my whole channel got copyrighted, and then I was back to making like no money. There was 1 month where, and I already got my own apartment and everything. There was 1 month to where I made $500 with 1 million subscribers, and I almost got evicted from my apartment. And that's because obviously I use copyrighted music, and what I blew up off of were songs in public. So it was this format that I made where, you know, I take a popular song and I'll sing it in public. And, you know, obviously those can never make money. They'll get copyrighted instantly. But yeah, that time was rough because it's like becoming famous made being broke even harder.
That's
because
fascinating.
It was like I was getting recognized on the street,
Oh
but
gosh.
like I was getting recognized on the bus, or like getting recognized like I remember even my my leasing office agent or whatever, the people at the front desk recognized me, and then also was the same person to like give me my eviction letter. So it's like things like that just made it so hard, because it's like, don't you have 1 million subscribers? What's going on, man? You know?
That's very like symbolic in like a weird fucked up way.
Yeah.
I think about that. There's like a lot that I think about from that. First of all, I think it's really interesting because I have like a lot of YouTube friends, and like I feel like I've been on YouTube for 10 years. So I have like, you know, old OG like YouTube friends, and then I have friends that are like newer on YouTube who have blown up within a span of like years or like even like months.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be really hard to blow up because you have a completely, you gain fame, you gain money sometimes that you're just like not used to. It's a complete like 360, 180, whatever in life that you're just completely not like, it's a complete change in life.
Yeah.
It's a different life.
Yeah. It's like, I look at how Justin Bieber was when he was like young, and you know how he was getting into a lot of trouble and getting arrested. Like, yeah, I mean, that's just the things that money will do to you at such a young age.
Fame, because then you have ego.
Yeah. Eventually people mature and learn how to go about life responsibly, but quick money, quick fame will fuck you up, and will sometimes make you make decisions that are permanent. Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I thought you were like way older, and then I was like, Steezy, you're 22? Okay, so another thought is like when I was doing YouTube back in my day, like it wasn't cool to do it. Like no one wanted to be a YouTuber. It wasn't really until honestly probably after I graduated college that people started like being like, oh, it's cool to be a YouTuber. You can make money as a YouTuber. But it's interesting to see like my Gen Z friends who are like 4 years younger than me be like, oh, that's all I've ever wanted to be is a YouTuber. And I think guys take a different approach to YouTube. So like if you were to give advice, or like would you have any advice, because you're still young yourself, but I feel like you've matured, like you're very mature, I think, in your thinking, and I feel like you've
my
had
brain
a quick,
isn't fully developed.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know, I feel like there's something
that thought fucks me up a lot.
Yeah. It's weird because I feel like I meet a lot of 22-year-olds right now. Like a lot of my friends are like 22-year-old boys, and I'm really honestly like very amazed at their maturity level, like including yours. I don't know if the maturity is the right word, but it just doesn't feel like you're a 22-year-old boy from like when I was like 22 and had my 22-year-old guy friends.
Yeah, I definitely it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I do get that a lot, that people say that I'm mature.
Yeah.
I even my roommates that I lived with, they were 26 and 27. I've always been around older people, and I think that's why. But even when I was living with them, they always told me, dude, you're way more mature than us.
Interesting.
They were always like running around the apartment, laughing, goofing around.
And you're just like...
Yeah, like they always told me that.
Interesting.
But what was the question?
Well, okay. Would you have, because I feel like now still, like there are a lot of young people who are just have only known that they wanted to be a YouTuber. Like that's the career that people want now. Coming from your perspective of like blowing up, like what would you say to that type of a person?
I would say that's the wrong dream. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Like back then, the number one aspired dream, like if you go and ask kindergarteners, was astronaut. But ever since like 2012 or something, it's just YouTuber, influencer, and it's like, what has happened?
Yeah.
But even me, like I remember when I was like 7 years old, I was always saying that, like, I just want to be a YouTuber. I want to be famous on YouTube. But and a lot of people, I said this the other day, I forgot to who, but a lot of people romanticize the idea of like fulfilling their childhood dream. Like, oh, I see a lot of people say, oh, I just want to make my 15-year-old self happy. But why? Like, your 15-year-old self doesn't know anything. Like, why would you want to fulfill your childhood dreams? Like, you as a child, like, didn't know anything.
That's really interesting.
So I don't want to fulfill my childhood dreams. I don't want to make my 15-year-old self happy. I want to make myself right now happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, fuck my younger self.
Fuck that kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when you're young, you're so oblivious to like how big the world is, or like how big the opportunities that you have are. And being a YouTuber, being a narcissistic influencer it's not as fun as it looks. It'll be fun for like 2-3 years, and then after that you'll burn out and realize you just want to do something else.
Yeah, I think also the lifestyle that it comes with, it's like very interesting. Like the people that you surround yourself with, or the people that you attract, like when you're in that position, it's not always like sunshine and rainbows.
It's a lot of fake people.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I like the people in creator camp. They all seem very genuine.
Yeah.
But me living in LA, whenever I hang out with like creators there, it's so fake. And I could just tell, like, if my views go down, these people are not going to answer my texts. And yeah, our social media world has so many of those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's very Black Mirror-y. Like I've had like a lot of like thoughts where the future of that kind of world is like very sad and transactional. Do you like living in LA?
No. I want to move to New York so bad. I don't think I'm going to do it until next winter, but the only thing that's good in LA is the weather.
Yeah.
Nothing else is good.
Yeah, I lived in LA for 5 years, and like I just never really liked it that much. The energy is weird. And yeah, I think it's just people like they're like looking over your shoulder for like the next best person.
Yeah. And then when people go to a party, they're just scanning to see like who's there, who can I network with.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part about LA?
I liked Koreatown. There's some good food there.
Koreatown is dope.
That was like the first time I feel like I was actually really able to connect to my Korean culture just through food. Because like, I mean, I love Korean food. My mom makes Korean food all the time. But there was like a whole town filled with like Korean people and food. So I thought that was really cool. And obviously like it's really cool for entertainment. There are like endless things to do. But I just never was comfortable like in my own body there. Like because I'm from Alaska, like I don't dress the part, where I feel like that's kind of more important. Even like here, I don't feel that way. Like I feel very comfortable in New York, maybe just because like you have to kind of be functional here. Like you have to like walk places or like bike places, or just it's harder, where you have to be like kind of, in my opinion, like you have to have like your shit looking good together in LA, where I just don't like that.
Yeah, people walk with their chest out, like
Yeah.
sunglasses and like that vibe of don't talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm important.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Whereas like as soon as I got here, like the month that I arrived here, I like loved New York.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was just like maybe I was in a different headspace, but
Was that your first time being in New York? When
I had been here a few times before. Actually,
Okay.
the first time I went here was like for a YouTube event, like really early on when I started YouTube, and it was like a competition.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like New York a lot. I think the creators are better too.
That's another crazy thing. New York had no creators until I would say your mom's house.
I would say that too. Like
There was nobody here.
yeah.
But once that house, like I remember I was even telling Sneako, he was in LA and I was telling him, bro, you need to take more advantage of you being in New York. This was before your mom's house, like a year before or 2 years before. I was like, you are the only person in New York creating content. Casey left. Like I noticed in conversations outside of Sneako, every time New York got brought up, Sneako was like the first name to pop up.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Yeah, me and Elliot
You
really
guys
pushed
took
for
that
New York.
spotlight.
Yeah. That is really interesting. And then I feel like it like I knew I was like it's gonna be a trend. Like I did college vlogs and then that like became a trend. I was like this is the next trend that's coming.
Like
It's just clickbait on its own. Like if you put like college weekly vlog, like that's how Elliot
oh,
blew
okay,
up.
okay.
If you put NYC, like automatically your views do better.
Yeah. Like what it's like living in NYC
Yeah.
is yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I don't know, I feel like that even maybe I'm wrong, but your mom's house birthed somehow the whole how much do you make in how much do you make a month? How much do you pay for rent?
That's
like
an
all those
interesting
people
take.
who do street interviews, because there was just none of that. There were no creators, nothing. But then all of a sudden, those motherfuckers started to pop up. Now you can't walk around in New York without one of them coming up to you. Like,
That's
how
really
much do you make a
interesting.
month? It's like, whoa, bro. I'm just like trying to get to the subway.
Okay, tell me. Okay, I asked some of our friends for topics based on like the last week of things that we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting. Chris thinks that you're building a new format on YouTube. What do you think of that?
I was, but now that I'm quitting YouTube, not really anymore, I guess.
Okay.
I want to take it outside of YouTube, but yeah, in a way, I guess. Because, again, since I was so tired with the mic'd up cult, I just started to make... I just call them mockumentaries, even though I feel like that's not the right word for them. But...
And was it a hard transition when you started making the mockumentaries? Like, was that... Because I meet a lot of creators who have, like, gotten so far for doing a very specific type of, like, content. And then they get... I mean, this kind of is what I had to go through, too. They get, like, really scared to, like, make new content. Like, for me, example, like, when I moved out of your mom's house, I was like, okay, I gained, like, a bigger following from putting everyone in my videos. Now I'm going to leave. And I was like, what am I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that a hard transition, or were you just like, I have to do this?
I was just in the game for so long, so I was tired of slow transitions, and I was just like, I'm just gonna just start. I'm just gonna start, and however the views do, they'll do. I made 5 episodes of that new format. I started to call them episodes as well instead of videos because I wanted people to take them more seriously. But the first one did super well. Did 2 million views, almost 3 million now. So I was like, oh, fuck, this is going to be amazing. This new format is the key. Then the other ones like slowly started to dip in views. They still did pretty well, but yeah. But what matters is that I had so much fun with that format. And I satisfied my creative self with them so much. But yeah, those were so fun to make.
So how are you transitioning into film?
So that, I think I have to quit YouTube in order to go into film.
Because of the time, or like what?
Yeah, because I can't really do YouTube full time while I'm like writing scripts and stuff.
I think that's like very self-aware too, and like that's putting a lot of faith kind of in yourself and the universe. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's
Or God.
it's nerve-wracking because it's like, how can I put this in an analogy? It's like I'm swinging on vines, like Tarzan,
Yeah.
and like I have to let go of the vine in order to grab the next one.
Dang.
But like, it's not guaranteed that I'll reach it.
Yeah.
But yeah, because if I stop YouTube, then all my income stops.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first project that I'm gonna do, that I'm already writing, is a feature film with Sneako. So my target is about 80 pages, and it's a page per minute. So it's gonna be a feature length film, about 80 minutes. But yeah, I'm basically talking with film studios, investors who want to give a budget for this film. And then, yeah, me and Sneako are going to film the whole thing. I'm going to direct it, write it, shoot it. Sneako's going to be the lead. And yeah, and then just put that out. My idea right now for it is like, we put it out behind a paywall and people pay, like, let's say $15 to see it. For the first 3 months, they have to pay for it. But after the 3 months, then it'll get released on YouTube for free. Just like how a movie gets released in a theater. You know, you have to go watch it in a theater for the first 3 months. After that, then it'll be out on streaming platforms or out on TV. But yeah, basically, people will be able to buy it. And that also allows us to promote it really hard, both me and Sneako, for 3 months. You know, just that's the only thing we're promoting. Yeah, and then like, I don't know, I'm just like, I don't know if it'll work, but you know, that's what I have to find out. Because if 10,000 people buy a $15 ticket, that's 150 grand. And I really do think we could sell 10,000 tickets within 3 months, probably even more. But then that will just allow for us to already have a budget for the next film, you know? Yeah.
Okay, so why Sneako, and how do you have, like, because you've been doing this for a while now, I think it's interesting in the creator space, like, who you end up thinking or trusting to work with. Like, how did that come to be?
I think I've always had it in my head that I want to make a film where Sneako stars as the lead. I know he's a great actor. He is. And I really like the character that he portrays on screen. I don't know. I just think he can bring a really great emotion to the screen. And I brought it up to him before all this. Well, I mean, he was doing the streaming stuff, but like he barely started. I came to New York and I came over to his place and I told him the whole idea. Hey, I want to shoot a proof of concept. Gave him the script and we shot like a 2-minute thing.
And that was where he did the face thing and posted that.
Yeah.
That kind of blew up low-key,
right? That blew
right?
up. He got 30,000 Twitter followers that night we were shooting it.
What? Did people know that?
He
backstory?
also showed me your text.
Yeah, I was
where you texted him like you're okay or something.
Yeah, I was really concerned.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I could see a world in which like Sneako and just how controversial he is, like that could happen. And I was like, I've catastrophized that in my head already. So I was like, oh, it's happening. Yeah. Yeah, I was concerned.
So yeah, I gave him the script. He didn't read it at all. So we show up to the WeWork, there were 3 actors and then a makeup artist. We did the makeup on him, which took like 2 hours. And then we went to the subway and then we just shot everything. And then yeah, now I'm just using that 2-minute proof of concept to pitch to people. Like, hey, here's how the movie's going to feel. Here's how it's going to look. You know, just for people to give us money for it. But yeah.
So, okay. Well, first, did he have the idea to just post that? Like, was that his idea to like, what was the motivation behind him posting
like post the story?
Yeah.
I think it was just like, the makeup just turned out to be really good. Yeah. I didn't think he thought it was going to be that great. So he was just like playing around.
Okay.
And he just posted a few stories. And I remember he thought that people weren't going to believe it. Yeah. But then Drama Alert posted on Twitter, yo, Sneako just got beat up like 5 minutes after he posted it. and we were both like, whoa. We were freaking out about it, but I was also trying to get him like, yo, let's focus on filming.
That's hilarious.
Because we were on such a tight schedule. But yeah, oh my God, the buzz it created was so huge.
That's pretty interesting. Maybe that's an omen somehow. I'm not sure in a good or a bad way. But also going back to the creators are like journalists, like for him to just post that as fact, like that's pretty interesting. Like whoever posted it.
What do you mean?
Because
whoever posted it?
Who'd you say posted it? Drama Alert?
Yeah.
Is that like
you know who Drama Alert is?
No.
He's like the news guy for YouTubers.
So he didn't like fact check that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, the news never fact checks anything.
Okay, I guess that's probably
like
true.
Even traditional news.
Dang. I think that's like the beauty of being a creator is like you see how you can fabricate like a story, or you actually see how like that goes out into the world, and just like kind of how that the lifeline of that. Yeah,
people trick the news all the time. Like a lot of YouTubers actually do that on purpose for views, I guess.
That's kind of a social experiment.
Yeah. Like I don't know if you saw that, how I think it was Yes Theory who made people believe that Justin Bieber was eating a burrito sideways. It's a huge video. You should watch it. It has like 20 million views or something. But they got a Justin Bieber lookalike to eat a burrito sideways, and they shot it like it was paparazzi, and it just blew up everywhere. TMZ posted it.
That's fascinating.
A lot of these like official sources posted it. Somebody else dressed up as Travis Scott and convinced the news that he was cheating on Kylie. That blew up everywhere. So many people, I don't know, so many people trick the news. It's kind of hilarious.
Okay, if you were to just have put out 3 next steps or requests for your film in your production, like what's next, or what would you ask? Like 3 things. Like if you had a magic genie, or not even a magic genie, just like some really rich person or something, just put it out in the universe. Like what are the 3 things?
Just for a budget.
For a budget.
And for everything to go smoothly. And for people to buy the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what all's gonna go wrong, but
yeah,
I gotta test the waters somehow. Yeah.
Okay. I think this is kind of interesting. You don't drink or smoke.
Yeah.
Was that always the case?
I drank and smoked one time when I was 15. And when I smoked, that was with my mom, actually. She just like, asked me if I wanted to try weed, and I smoked with her. And I think my mom is a genius in a way, because she lets me and my brothers smoke, but me and all my brothers are pretty much sober. So it's like, my mom allowed us to smoke, so maybe that made it not cool for us. So I don't know.
Are you close to your mom?
Yeah. But yeah, since I was 15, I smoked, but then after I smoked when I was 15, I just realized, there's nothing here. So I just never done it since that point. I think another reason why I don't smoke or drink is just because I've always seen that it's never solves anything, and it's never a good thing. For celebrating, it's not even that crazy. It'll just lead to addiction, I think, at least for me, because I have an addictive personality. So I think even if I do drink to celebrate, I just wouldn't be able to control it. But I don't have anything against alcohol or weed. I don't know. I just don't want to do that personally. Psychedelics, though, I do think psychedelics are great in a way.
How?
I think they just open up your mind. Just shrooms specifically.
And how did you get into that, or how did you hear about it?
I've always wanted to do shrooms. I don't remember how I heard about it. Maybe even Sneako keeps coming up, but I think Sneako also. I remember he was talking to me about it like way back then. But I don't know. It's always been an interest to me, but I never did it. I always waited for the right moment. So I didn't do it until like 3 years after having interest about it, like until things went wrong in my life, I guess. I thought would be the perfect moment to do it so I can fix myself. And yeah, it's been a really great tool to like help me open my mind. And plus it's non-addictive. So it's always been an attractive substance to me. Yeah.
The only, I guess, caveat would be like your brain is not fully developed. So that's kind of interesting to me because I've tried shrooms, but I think I tried it when I was like 25, 26 or something.
Huh.
So I think it is interesting. I don't know how it would be like younger.
Yeah, I think the main thing, like I never use it for creative inspiration. I only use it for like personal growth or like use it for figuring out where I should go. I guess it could be for my career, but I've always seen that like if people use a substance to help their work, it's a trap. 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Like
you can develop like a dependency on it then.
Yeah, I always helped a lot of YouTubers film in Austin. They'll film like drunk interviews on 6th Street and they'll always get drunk before they film. And I always saw that makes them spiral into dark place. So I never use shrooms for like at parties or to think of ideas.
So you kind of use them responsibly.
I just use it when I'm alone in my apartment and I just use it to go internally into my mind. And it helps me figure out like, oh, maybe this person isn't the best for me or, oh, I should talk to my family more. I remember one time it even made me like, I called my mom while I was on shrooms and I like told her, hey, we need to plan a trip for you guys to come out in LA. But it just makes me like closer with my family and like make very responsible decisions. Cause there's a lot of things that we hide in our subconscious that we don't even realize we're hiding it. But shrooms, I think, will bring those things, put it in front of your face and go like, yo, fix these things. So yeah, I think it's good to like have that check every now and then.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't like talk about it that publicly, but I feel like I've had some like really interesting like insights from, and I don't do that often, like, but really interesting like insights, exactly where it's like stuff that I was not even aware of that I was like doing even for myself. Like I kind of realized that I can create my own reality like on a shroom trip because I was just like, I'm so limiting, like self-limiting, but it's like even just like you directing or inviting people to come over, that's like creating your own reality because you're you're like, oh, I want to hang out with this person. Like it's simple as that. Did you have any like other interesting like realizations from a trip?
Things that I can't put in words.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Yeah.
It's like my first trip, I remember I realized like everything is either one or two, which again doesn't make sense in the English language, or everything is either blue and orange. Everything is either cold or hot. There's only two things that exist in the universe.
This is interesting. Speak more.
And everything is a spiral, and whatever goes up must come down. But those phrases that I just said, those are the things that I realized about the universe.
So is it like good versus evil too?
It's like good versus evil, love versus hate, 1 and 2, cold and hot.
That's fascinating.
And everything will either become hot and then it will become cold again and hot again and cold again. Just like winter and summer, people will be born and people will die. Hills and valleys, like waves, and everything is either dry or wet and will become dry and will become wet. Everything will go up, everything will go down. It's just things that are so obvious, but you can't explain. But there's always 1 and 2. It's either one or the other. There's nothing greater than 2, the number 2.
And how did you apply that into your own personal life?
I don't know.
How did that affect your own life?
I don't know. I think it just made me like, it made me okay with like the thought of falling off with what people call today. 'Cause again, whatever goes up must come down. It's very easy to like ride the high of like being popular, getting a lot of views, but some people think they could stay up there. That's never the case.
Yeah.
You will always come back down.
Yeah.
If you get popular and gain popularity, there's always going to be a point of falling off, which is not a bad thing. That's just how the world works. Everybody who's alive today is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me okay with, I don't get sad anymore when I see my views go down.
Yeah.
And I realize that that's such a dumb thing that our industry cries about.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I feel like that's actually like a huge learning that that is a huge learning that people in the industry will have to learn, like, period. And that's something that I think a lot of people have a really hard time with.
Yeah. It's crazy how effective it is to people. Like, it makes people actually cry.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
were you the one who said like something about language?
oh yeah. I said that language, like the English that we're speaking right now, I think it ironically crutches communication.
Yeah.
Because I think about how birds or cats communicate. They communicate only through like body language or through spirituality. I don't know. But with words, we just kind of like put these human feelings and like try to sort them into words. And when we do that, those human feelings kind of lose the meaning of those human feelings.
Yeah. I had this as a shroom thought one time.
Yeah.
Because I was like with people, and I was kind of like leading the group somewhere, and then even like upon first like encountering them, I'm like, okay guys, let's go. And I'm like, you can use inflection, because I think like 12 years ago, whatever, I was very disconnected from my body, like, and I didn't even know how I came across. And so, you know, like, you have like a resting bitch face, whatever, but then you can literally like change the way that you come across as someone through your tone of voice.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up too.
Yeah.
Like, what's an example?
Like, my sister answered the phone like, hello. It's just like, how could you not be happy like receiving that as like your first call versus like my dad's like, what do you want?
Yeah, like, what are you doing? That sounds curious, but what are you doing?
Yeah.
That sounds like, come on, what are you, like disappointed. But, words can only like fit a certain amount of our human feelings.
And we text so much. I wonder if that, like has such a,
yeah,
we're like constantly just like texting back and not you and I, but like just like our generation.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's actually why I like sending voice memos sometimes.
Yeah. It allows for way more of, I guess, what you're actually feeling.
Yeah.
But I don't really remember what was the reason why I brought that up, but it's just a weird thought that I had.
Yeah. Was that in the museum?
In the museum, yeah. But like, what if we didn't have language? And what if we didn't have mouths and we couldn't communicate verbally? Or what do you call it? What if we couldn't write anything down? Like, how would we navigate this world?
And I feel like that's why you like film too, because you seem very affected, and like you can get into the film, like the emotion of the film. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, yeah, you said that right. I don't think there's any right way to say it, but
yeah,
like Everything Everywhere, that also gives you this feeling that you cannot put into words at all. The film tells you something.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah. I got tired of saying the full name.
Me too.
Yeah.
See, that's why I think this side of you is like really fascinating, which I mean, I only watch like a few videos, but I'd be curious to see if like that's the side that you often portray. I guess it kind of was in the last video that you posted when you were like on the rooftop talking about like how you're kind of done. I want to make
more of those videos where I just talk.
Do you do that often?
Like in videos?
Yeah.
No. That was the only video where I did that. That was the only video where I was not funny.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I definitely want to do more of that.
Cause yeah, whenever you open your mouth, just like some interesting shit comes out, and it's very thought provoking, and it always like sparks like interesting conversation in the group too.
That's funny. Yeah, another thing that I said at the museum was, it's just a theory that I have, but I think the main human emotion is lust.
Oh yeah, this was interesting.
Because, it's so hard to explain every time, but I think of Earth as in like, Earth might be just like a glass of milk that somebody left on the counter and forgot about. And then over weeks, that glass of milk started to build mold and bacteria. And really that's what we are, is just a bunch of bacteria. We're bugs, we're creatures. And with any living creature, even like a virus, the main mission for them is to spread, is to repopulate. So, you know, with that in mind of like bacteria, their only mission is just spreading, it makes sense that the main emotion is lust. And it makes me think like, okay, well, what about these other emotions we have, like happiness, sadness, paranoia, fear, even love? Like, are those all just side effects of lust? So I don't know. It's just like, I just get really deep in these thoughts.
Was that a shroom thought?
No, that was just me in a coffee shop. And I remember I was just writing on my laptop, just whatever I was thinking that day. But most of these thoughts don't come from when I'm on shrooms.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I just really want to be a philosopher. Like, I want to be like Aristotle or something. But I don't know what to do with that information. But
I have those too, where I just like have these like deep thoughts that I'm not sure like are true, but it's just kind of interesting. And I think the more life goes on, you can like test your theories and like see, and then it's kind of like interesting if like you find evidence that you're like correct.
Yeah. Like,
I think the imagery of the spoiled milk is pretty interesting.
It's a sad thought that I have.
Yeah.
Because then it's like we're an accident.
Yeah.
Because there's either two thoughts in the world, I think. Like, either there's a higher power, a God that created us, and we have some objective to do, or we're just a glass of milk that somebody forgot about. And they might come by at the counter one day and go like, oh, fuck, I forgot to throw this out. And they'll just pour us down the drain.
So do you think we're a glass of milk?
I don't know. I think ignorance is a very great thing that we have. Because if we did know an answer, we might all
go crazy,
kill ourselves.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more probably topic question. You have a third door story with meeting a director.
Oh, yeah. This event, there was this event where I saw one of my favorite movies was going to premiere in New York.
What movie?
It's called Triangle of Sadness. It just came out. It came out in 2022. And I really admire the film because it's not like traditional movies that are being released today, like Marvel movies, or these like superhero movies. It's like true cinema to me. And the director also wrote it and also edited it, which is so rare.
Wow.
So it's like, this is his baby. So I saw that it was being premiered, and in the description I saw that the director is going to give a Q&A at this event. And I saw that and I was like, there's no way he's going to be there. This is such a big theatrical release movie. Like, it's being shown in all theaters around the world. There's no way this guy's going to be here at this small theater. They're probably going to like show a video of him giving a Q&A or something. But I went anyways because I just want to watch the movie. And when I'm there watching the movie, as soon as it ends, they bring the chairs out, and I'm like, no way, he's coming out. He comes out, sits down, and there's like another person with a mic asking the questions. And also, before I went to the premiere, I found the script online. Somebody leaked it, the script that he wrote. It was 99 pages, I think. I printed it out, And
See, we thought this was like the most interesting part of that story. Like you had like printed the script out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I printed the script out that morning, and I read the whole thing in a coffee shop before I went.
Dang.
And 99 pages takes like 4 hours to read.
Oh wow.
Yeah, if you read it fast. So I read the whole thing just in case he was going to be there, even though I didn't know if he was going to show up or not. So he comes out, and he only had time for 2 crowd questions. He's a busy man, he has to leave. And since I'm sitting in the front row, nobody else is sitting in the front row. I don't know why nobody sits.
Did you purposely pick the front row?
Yeah, because just in case he comes out. And also, in a theater, you never want to sit in the front row because you're like this at the screen. And yeah, like I got to be the first question because, I'm in the front. He's also going to know my face, or if I ever come back to him in the future, that's another reason why I sit in the front. He's going to see my face and he might remember me.
Yeah, that's huge.
So yeah, I got to talk to him. I asked him a question about the film. And then as soon as he left, I mentioned him in my story and he liked the story. So I'm like, oh shit, now I have DMs with this guy. So I sent him a picture of my script. I was like, hey man, I printed out this whole script this morning, read the whole thing just because I love cinema. I did it to study. Really appreciate you. Just wishing you my best wishes. I aspire to be like you. And then he messaged me back saying thanks. And then he signed his name, Ruben. I've never seen somebody do that on an Instagram DM, but he would do that.
That's funny.
And now I have like Instagram DMs with this guy, which I want to take my time with. Like I'll probably message him again, but I want to wait until I have something under my plate, until maybe I finish the film so I can send it to him.
Wow.
But I think he would be the best mentor for me to have because he does the same thing that I do. I also direct, write, and edit my own stuff. Again, it's very rare when directors do that. So I want to like befriend him and like have him like tell me how to like get my films in theaters and stuff, how to get big budget films, because the budget on his film was like $10 million and it made like 30 million so far. But yeah,
that's really interesting. I feel like you're very like low key. I don't know if you think of it as being like very intentional, but I feel like you do very intentional things to like, I mean, like who prints like a script and like sits in the front row. Yeah,
my intention for that was like, on the slight chance that he does show up, if I send him a picture of this and he happens to open my DM, he's going to remember that.
Yeah.
So even a year from now, if I send him my film, he's going to be like, oh, this is the guy that read my script.
Yeah, once someone is in my DMs, like a girl just invited us to Spotify, like to tour. And it's like, I don't think because she had like previously, like we talked about like something, and it's just like so much easier if you just like get that in,
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. But you also got to do something that they're going to remember.
Yeah. You can't just waste their time if they're like an important person. I'm not saying that was for me for the Spotify girl, but like that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, like a picture of his like the 99-page script is like this thick of like a full letter size paper, and I just sent a picture of me holding it in the subway. He's definitely going to remember that.
So I guess one of the probably universal asks you would have is like mentorship. Maybe.
One of the last what?
The universal, like the 3 things that you'd put out in asking.
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah, that's a good one. Mentorship is so important.
Yeah. That's kind of like what I'm kind of seeking now,
and it's hard to get it.
It's
because
really hard.
It's a really big ask.
It's a big ask, and I feel like maybe it's not even something that you can like. Can you ask someone for mentorship?
I almost asked him that in the DM, but I'm so glad I didn't ask that, because you don't want to ask that on your first impression.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yo, bro, can you spare like hours of your day to like teach me stuff for free?
Like, I wonder if that's something that they have to like come up on their own to be like, oh, I can mentor this person.
Yeah. That's why I'm waiting until I finish my film, send it to him, and then like hopefully he gets the idea like, I want to mentor this guy.
Yeah. I think that's a big lesson, is like showing that you're proactive in something, like doing something yourself and then asking for something once you have like the track record of doing it.
Yeah definitely. Yeah, because if I were to ask that right now, like I'm just some dumb YouTuber. I don't even have like, I have some short films under my belt, but nothing crazy. And plus I think time also helps it. Like if he sees my DM a year from now and thinks, oh, that's the guy from, you know. So yeah, time will definitely help. Yeah.
Okay. To conclude, do you have any synchronicities for this week that were top of mind that we experienced all together?
It's weird because there were so many that I just forget.
And that's
It's
why
like
I
I'm
try to
starting to
journal
forget them
but
now.
me too. I've like forgotten them all.
Yeah.
I guess the Chris one that you guys had, that's
You have
pretty
a titty
crazy.
lamp.
Oh yeah.
I'm making a video on those.
Really?
Yeah.
A mockumentary?
I mean, well, I quit YouTube, so I think it's too late, but maybe.
So you're just like straight up done.
I'm done. If I make any big project, it's gonna be somewhere else, not on my YouTube channel.
Wow.
Like I'm even reaching out to Tubi and Peacock because they do short film funds. So like I just want to have a creation on there instead, because YouTube can't really fund the projects that I have in mind. AdSense, it's like AdSense is whatever.
Yeah.
It can't fund big projects.
Yeah.
But yeah, synchronicities.
I'm really putting you on the spot when I can't even remember them.
Yeah.
Water.
Oh, water.
It's kind of a bad one, but
Yeah, that
in
is.
a way.
In the moment, it was crazy,
Yeah.
but I don't know. There's so many, but I can't remember like
Yeah.
one other than me and Chris like running into each other.
Yeah. Okay, whatever. What are you most excited about for this year, or in the next 3 months?
Just the film. Like that's the only thing I'm seeing right now.
And what's the timeline for that?
I think until next winter. But of course there's a lot of pre-production.
Yeah.
But even the writing I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to finding the character with Sneako and building the whole world for it. But that's going to be a whole process. But I think that's another reason why I want to transition into film, because I like every single part of filmmaking, even the parts that people see as work. I like writing scripts. I like looking at the blank page thinking of what should I write. I like editing film. I like directing.
And for writing the scripts, is this all self-taught? Like, how did you learn how to do that?
YouTube videos. I think people take for granted like the reach that we have.
Yeah.
Like you can learn anything just by typing how to on YouTube.
Yeah.
How to write a screenplay.
Wow.
How to use Final Cut. How to, edit photos. Anything. Like, you know that famous painter, Da Vinci?
Yes.
Imagine if he had an iPad.
Yeah.
What would he do?
Maybe he wouldn't even paint because he'd be so distracted.
Yeah, maybe. But like, if he was not distracted, he would take over the world.
Yeah.
So we don't realize the tool that we have, even just our phones in our pocket.
Yeah.
Like people really don't need college anymore.
Yeah. I've been saying this for like years.
Yeah.
I'm like, especially after the pandemic.
Yeah.
You really don't.
And all of this stuff is free online to
Yeah.
learn. And even if you did want to pay a little bit of money, you could do LinkedIn Learning or Udemy. And oh my God, there's so much knowledge on the internet to learn.
LinkedIn Learning?
LinkedIn Learning.
Everyone's been talking about LinkedIn lately. It's really interesting.
LinkedIn is so good.
Everyone in Creator Camp, all boys. No, I'm like not. They're trying to convince me to like get on it. Yeah,
like
I've been
today.
told. Yeah.
Today.
Okay.
LinkedIn is so good.
Okay. I'm gonna make my LinkedIn.
If there's any business people that you have as role models that you want to
Yeah.
reach out to, or even people that you don't even know exist, you could just type in a company and like start connecting with those people.
That's interesting.
LinkedIn is the place to do it.
Because I have a platform, or like I have a profile, but it was interesting because when I graduated USC, like that's what I felt like I was getting away from. Like I was like, oh, I don't really need a LinkedIn because all my friends are like, traditional business route. But
Yeah.
all of my creative friends lately
That
have
is
been telling
true,
me,
but the people on LinkedIn are very corporate and very businessy. But when they
that's
see a
why.
creative person on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, they want to talk to you instantly. Like they're like, "Oh, it's so interesting what you do. Tell me more about content and like how you." So us being on LinkedIn is we're like unicorns.
That's actually how I felt and why I wanted to move to New York. I was like, I feel like New York is very like money business, and there at the time, like we were saying, there wasn't like a lot of creative creators.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's such a perfect contrast, and I think it kind of still is. I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely make a LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, deal.
It's super important.
That's really interesting. Okay, yeah. My takeaways from you, very resourceful. You know, like when to pivot, because I think that's really, really, really hard. Like, you know when to pivot and do something new. And it sounds like you know detachment, or you're getting there. Like that's I don't know. That has been a big theme for me for just coming up, is detachment and like releasing, letting go. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what it seems like.
Like when to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I feel for people though that don't know their true passion. Like, I feel very lucky that I know my passion is film, and even I don't know that 100%. Maybe in 5 years I'll get sick of that and move on to the next thing. But people who come into the social media world and then they fall out of love with it, but they don't know who they are. That's bad.
That's really true.
Because a lot of people do know when to pivot, but they just don't know what to pivot to.
Yeah. And then also with like more and more creators or people wanting to become creators, I feel like that's just going to be a bigger problem. And then also if you're disconnected from yourself and you don't know what you want to do and you're just following trends and the trend dies, that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. This anybody who wants to get into the social media world, spare yourself some time and just
become a plumber.
Try something else first and figure out yourself first before you come into this world.
That's what I think. I'm 27 and I feel like when I look at like even like 22-year-olds, I'm like, that's tough to go through all of that when you're that young, you know?
Yeah. People come into this world doing some random type of content, going into some random genre when they're like undecided in life.
Yeah.
And then if you gain millions of followers and you have this platform, now you have to figure out yourself with an audience watching.
Yeah.
And you don't want to figure yourself out when an audience is watching. It is dangerous for your mental health.
Okay, last question. You mentioned earlier that it's like, you know, you can make a mistake that's like irreversible. Have you seen an example of that, or like why did that come to mind?
There's this guy that did prank videos, and this actually happened with a lot of people. Like, I would say 3 people just in my friend group. So even me, I used to make these videos pretending to be a Walmart employee, or fake employee pranks, like where people borrow a vest, go to the company and pretend they're a worker. And then companies really started to crack down on that content, and they started to sue creators for doing that. So the first one that I saw was this guy who went into got an In-N-Out, or no, he was pretending to be an In-N-Out CEO. He went into the In-N-Out,
restaurant.
Yeah, told the customers, like, pulled them to the side, told them they were doing bad, and then he like threw a burger on the ground, stomped on it. They allowed him to do that because they thought he was like a boss. And then In-N-Out sued him, and then he had to sell his channel to avoid the lawyer fees, and he just stopped doing YouTube because he just got dried out by In-N-Out. And then another friend almost got sued by CVS for the same thing. He didn't. I don't know what happened, but he almost did. And then another friend also got threatened to get sued by HEB, which is like a grocery store. It's like Ralph's, but for Texas. But that's something that I think, I could tell this guy didn't want to be a prankster, but he was just in this world blind. And then he just went too far to where it just like financially cut through him to where he's like, I don't know, maybe he's still like trying to fight that.
Okay, final question. Any tips on becoming unblind?
Ooh. Take a break. I think.
Which is also hard to do if you're in the rat race.
Yeah. Being a YouTuber, YouTube which favors or rewards consistency, taking a break can kill your channel. So it's really hard. This industry is super nasty. YouTube encourages people to take breaks, but YouTube knows deep down, like, if you take a break, you're gonna lose views.
Yeah.
And it's not just about views, but views also equals money, livelihood. Yeah. So when you take a break, it's also hard because, yeah, you're gonna lower your income.
Yeah, even like brand deals, like when you have the lower views are like lower.
Yeah. But yeah, you need to take a break and figure out yourself, because if you're living in that like week to week uploading, yeah, you don't have any time to like look at yourself.
To end on a positive note, I think that a solve in which you would be allowed to take a break, like figure your own content out and not be as pressured to post like every single week, is like community, like having like a group of people to do it with.
Yeah, because
then you could still be in like other people's, but then it's like it's just a matter of like trust and like doing it with the right people. That's kind of tough too. Yeah,
it's hard to even know when you're around the right people though.
Yeah,
especially if you're young.
Yeah,
it's hard to read people.
And yeah, like when you're so young, you're developing your intuition, so like that's like a whole nother thing. And then when you have so many factors of like ego, money, fame, views, whatever, content, it's tough.
Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah, it's an interesting world.
But also I would say if you're in a really bad situation or you feel blind, sometimes going through it is the best way to like learn how to not do it.
That's very true. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Steezy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
You should just do like a Disney fade out, you know, like the Disney Looney Tunes. Yeah. Okay, deal. On that silence at the end.